This is mostly going to highlight Sustainability Week Pokemon, largely Barbaracle. We'll also talk about recent event Pokemon outside of Sustainability Week as well. So here, let's start off easy with this little skinny leg muskrat. And yeah, his legs kind of look like they might be chicken tenders or something. Yeah, I'm not just laughing at him there, I'm laughing with him. Okay, so Dragalge, that's going to start us off right now. This is actually just to generate a little bit of energy for using Dragalge later, because really we're going to mostly solo, I would say, Arlo right now with Barbaracle. And so Barbaracle obviously brought in through Sustainability Week, whereas Dragalge was from the Rivals Week. And so that's okay. You know, again, I said that we were going to still highlight things that are outside of Sustainability Week too. We may want to speed up the footage just a little bit because, again, this is largely going to be done by Barbaracle right here. The Beldum, I've kind of always said this with Arlo, being that he's got Shadow Beldum as his first spot Pokemon, it can only have normal type attacks and they're pretty pitiful, to be honest. And so it's always just that Pokemon that you want to use to generate energy sort of in the long term. So what I mean by that is, of course, you can farm energy to spam off multiple charge moves. If you didn't know that, you don't have to use your charge move right when it generates enough energy for one. You know, you can keep stacking them up. So he is going to send in Gardevoir next. This was actually possibly one of the worst targets that I guess we could have had for this just with Barbaracle. But that's okay, because you're actually going to see that because we can spam off so much with this combination of moves, that's going to be Fury Cutter as its fast attack and Cross Chop as the charge attack. With such a spam set, you know, we can, here, look, we also had some charged up, of course, from the Beldum fight. You know, we kind of overcharged it, if you want to call it that. We farmed that energy out, and so yeah, it's going to be not very effective. Cross Chop in itself does not have a lot of base damage as well for as far as charge attacks go, but you can see that we're just draining and draining and draining by doing so many of them. Now imagine, I mean, if he had like Aggron, dude, we would totally be dealing super effective on our charge. Now it would resist, of course, the Fury Cutter, so I guess I mean, you're not really doing Fury Cutter for damage is the only thing here. And so Dragalge, we actually do have probably one of the worst fast attacks you want to give it, but it's actually just for this case. Going up against that Gardevoir, we can actually make its fast attack be Acid instead of either of its other two options, and again, totally not optimized at all for most fights, but at least that one, we were dealing super for its fast attack, and so it was appropriate for really this specific fight. Kind of niche right there, spicy you could say. But yeah, you saw that it fell to the Scizor, of course. Scizor gonna be his last spot Pokemon, which is really, for me, kind of usual. It's like 9 times out of 10, or even 9.8 times out of 10 if that's possible, we end up fighting Scizor. And so the interesting thing is that I do have a Fletchinder as my final spot Pokemon. If you just have any kind of fire, essentially, you're gonna probably take down the Scizor. I mean, it does have to be powered up at least halfway decent. You can see this fight has been like a little bit sloppy, you know, and it wasn't a complete solo or anything. It's just that Barbaracle did most of the damage. But what was really interesting and what I wanted to keep about this fight was that we actually did run out of time at the exact moment that we did our final attack. And so that does actually give us the victory, you guys. So hey, I said it before, we were starting off easy. This one might also be a little bit easy. It's really going to be Cliff that's going to probably give us the most trouble when we stick to like recent event Pokemon. And so Fletchinder was in there, probably the farthest back that we're going to go, which was actually the March Community Day, of course, for Fletchling. It feels a lot longer ago than it was, but speaking of Community Days, of course, we recently had the Snivy Community Day, and that's why we're going to actually bring out a Servine into this fight. It's funny because you could use Superior, of course. It doesn't have access to Leaf Tornado, if I recall. The only thing about Leaf Tornado is it does have the chance to debuff the opponent, which we're actually going to get right here on our first Leaf Tornado. It makes their attack harshly fall, and really Servine, it might help us a little bit with the middle spot Pokemon that Sierra is going to have, which of course you see on screen is Porygon Z, but this still does fit the bill for recent Pokemon. Now obviously if it was a Superior, you'd have a little bit more firepower to it, and you guys, I don't know why, I actually completely blanked. Superior does actually have access to Leaf Tornado, so you totally could evolve and still get this attack that can debuff your opponents, of course, and so we actually did get that debuff once, but not the other time. It is a chance. It's not 100%. And so Garbodor, of course, that's another Pokemon here for Sustainability Week with all the trubbish that you're going to be probably hunting to get a shiny, of course. I got my shiny on that first day. Haven't gotten another one since, but that's okay, man. I totally thought I was not going to get it, but anyway, we'll get to see Garbodor shine a little bit, and I kept these at as low a level as I could, so you can see that we do have a pretty ragtag team, and we are going up against all the Team Go Rocket leaders today with accounts that are level 40 or above. So the reason that I mention that, of course, is it actually will help you out if you're less than 40, because the Team Go Rocket side, their CP scales up or down based on what your trainer level is. So if you're like level 20 something, 30 something, you're actually going to be fighting Pokemon that are weaker than, of course, a level 40 or above account. So Barbaracle, again, this is sort of like the last fight. It's really just about that spam set. We kept it with Fury Cutter, Cross Chop. That Barbaracle that I sent out, though, this time was well below the Great League level caps, whereas the one that I had against Arlo, it was mostly able to solo because it was really close to that 1500. Again, I realize it wasn't a complete solo. So Garbodor right here within the Great League would do even better than this one. Look at how low this one was and still got to actually participate in everything. The one thing that should be said, of course, while we're doing all of this, and I know somebody out there was thinking about it, they're probably already have commented it because they didn't watch the full video, is yes, use a different Pokemon if you have it. You know what I mean? These are not gonna be your top tier, but we're obviously highlighting them because of them being so widely available. I love to show off many different options every single time that the Team Go Rocket leaders change their lineups, or if it's like right now where they changed their lineups all the way back in February and we're still fighting the same possibilities. And the reason that we do this instead of just using, like a 3000 plus CP legendary, mythicals, whatever, is because let's say somebody just came back into the game, you know what I mean? Somebody maybe has not really fought Team Go Rocket all that much. They don't know which Pokemon are viable options. If you're looking for something better, obviously, right now, yeah, sure, you can go with your 3000 plus CPs and all that. I mean, what fun would that be if I was just showing that off only? But I would say check down below either the description or the top pinned comment, maybe both of them. I will have a link that kind of has the full playlist because we have shown off, obviously, better options. Now, one option that isn't better is actually you do need something to kind of bait out his Aerodactyl right now because really a lot of the recent Pokemon that have been in events, let's say over the last month or two, most of them are not really gonna like Aerodactyl, especially when it's got Rock Throw. I mean, in general, there are a lot of Pokemon that can have real trouble with Aerodactyl. One of them that we've mentioned, though, that's amazing against it is Poliwrath. Poliwrath will actually resist every single fast attack that Aerodactyl has. If you have Ice Punch in there, you're going to be able to deal super effective to Aerodactyl. And why not do that, of course, after you've done 2 power-up punches to not only get the guaranteed buff to your attack that brings, but you'll also bust out those shields. And so again, we did need something as sort of our Aerodactyl destroyer because Barbaracle, it would not like that at all. Same with Garbodor right here. Now, Garbodor, the cool thing about it is, damn, is it beefy? But you can give it Acid Spray. In general, not a wonderful attack. The thing that I like about it is the guaranteed debuff. So again, you keep kind of hearing me talking about either buffing your own attacks or debuffing the opponent. And so Acid Spray is one of those. Look at how little damage that did, but the defense harshly fell on this Cradily that we're fighting right now. This may work against some other Cliff lineups, but really Cradily, that was a good turn of events that he threw this out right now in that middle spot. And so Garbodor is actually able to spam this off somewhat rapidly. It's not going to be like the Barbaracle combination, but pretty close to it when you have Infestation as your fast attack. And again, Acid Spray, not for the damage, but man, look at this. We are weakening it, dragging it down right now. And so we may actually be able to just use Garbodor really against the whole Cradily fight. Now, you could bring in the Barbaracle, and that would be a great option actually for Cradily. You'd be dealing super effective all around. But hey, I'm just going to go ahead and let Garbodor finish off the job. Boom, there it goes. So let's see. He's going to send in Mamoswine at the end. This is actually another good option for our Barbaracle having Cross Chop. Cross Chop will be super effective against that. Cross Chop, obviously a spammy charge move that we get to use. And so let's, of course, let Garbodor just make that defense fall on the Mamoswine right now. What I'm actually going to do is deliberately let the Garbodor fall right now. And then we're going to send in our Poliwrath just to do like one charge attack right here. So let's get a nice, quick, easy power-up punch going right now. So there it goes. We'll get a few hits in and switch off to Barbaracle, of course. There it goes. Fury Cutter. You can see even with it on its last little leg of health right now that our Barbaracle has, we still had enough energy kind of farmed up, generated from before, but actually not enough to save me right here. So maybe with a little bit more calculation that could have been done. I didn't exactly optimize this playthrough right now. I'm kind of discovering here on the recording. One thing that I will say about that is, for one, I'm human, of course, right? Like, I make mistakes or whatever, but the other thing is I know that I have to admit I did kind of rush this out. Like, I tried to record all these Team Go Rocket leader battles really fast because they just recently brought them back into the game. You know, they were out for so long, just sort of in the rush of things. Maybe I miscalculated like 1 or 2 attacks. It's fine. So, in summation, Barbaracle was the main one that we looked at. It can rock most of Arlo scenarios, some of Sierra's. Really, it was best against that Porygon Z. It would not like a Hippowdon. Your Barbaracle would have to be like powered up probably all the way, and even then, it may not make it to the end. And going up against Cliff, I mean, it's not going to take out the Aerodactyl. useful at all. But hey, if you had no better options, Barbaracle might be one to add to the team. Garbodor maybe too, only as that beefy spicy pick. A lot better options. Why not see them by clicking the end screen on screen or the links? And I'll catch you guys on the next vid, and thanks for viewing.